everyone. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. In this particular channel, we'll be mainly focusing on machine learning, artificial intelligence, and data science. I will keep uploading a large number of videos in this field and explaining the concepts in great detail so that you can have a better understanding about how to actually solve a machine learning problem and the end-to-end analysis of it. Therefore, we have different areas of machine learning. We have supervised machine learning, we have unsupervised machine learning. We have to look for whether we have the data set that is really available for supervised learning and unsupervised, and then we need to decide whether we should go ahead with that. All of this will be explored in this channel, but now in this particular video we are actually going to be talking about the various life cycles that is needed for a machine learning project. So we'll go over each of these steps which are involved so that we can get a rough estimate or an idea about the time that should be spent for each of the areas in the machine learning life cycle. Let us begin. The first step is to know the problem definition. We need to first understand the problem before we can actually make some useful predictions from machine learning models. Therefore, we need to clearly speak to the business and to some of the machine learning practitioners so that we can first extract the goals and the requirements, and then we can think of a machine learning problem or the way to solve using machine learning. The second step is to collect the data. Now that we have the goals in mind, the second step would be to collect the important data which can actually be used for which can be used for machine learning purposes. The third step is the data preparation process. In data preparation, we are mostly focusing on cleaning the data and ensuring that there are no missing values in the data, and also performing or removing some outliers. And in this way, the machine learning model learns to predict in the future. Fourth step is feature engineering. In feature engineering, our focus should be mostly on improving the predictive performance of the model. And in order to improve the predictive performance, we have to add a new set of features that can improve the overall performance. Adding something like dimensionality reduction to reduce the dimensions, or also performing feature selection, can really be handy for feature engineering. The fifth step is to perform the model selection approach. Now that we understood the data, we made some transformations with the data and made it in the format which can be used by machine learning models. It is now time to determine which model to be used for our business problem. If our business wants our model to be highly interpretable, in that case we have to go with simple classifiers like logistic regression or linear regression. But if you want more very good accuracy or precision or recall for that matter, then we have to look for better algorithms or more complex models which are able to identify these patterns and trends. Therefore, it really depends on the scalability, the interpretability, and other aspects in which we will select the machine learning model. The next step is training the machine learning models. We have selected the model, and now it's the time to train the models to determine or tune the hyperparameters in order to get the most accurate model we can get. Therefore, it involves training the models from scratch and determining the list of hyperparameters which can make a significant impact in the model predictions. Next comes the model evaluation. We must evaluate the performance of the model against various metrics like precision, recall, F1 score, or AUC curves, depending on whether it's a classification or a regression task. If it is a regression task, we have metrics like mean squared error and root mean squared error, which are really important to determine the overall predictive performance of the model. Next comes the model deployment. It is now time to deploy the model in real time so that users can get access to the model and they can get live predictions from the model's predictions. In that way, they are able to understand the business significance of the model, and they are able to really understand the overall effect that the model had for the user. In order to, for example, explain you about this step, I will give an example of predicting the car prices. Suppose there is a car company and a person or a manufacturer want to set the price for a particular car, and we have built a classifier which will determine the total price of the car. And in order to really do that, we use machine learning models, and they'll be taking features like the horsepower, the total speed of the car, and many other factors which will impact the overall price. Therefore, after training the model with this cars data of already available cars prices, we will then use that as a features to our present machine learning model, which is already trained, and then it is going to take all of these features into consideration, and then finally it is able to give predictions on the unseen data points, which is the particular car that the manufacturer wants to set the price. And this is one scenario of how machine learning can be used, and there are other scenarios which we can explore later in this channel, and I will explain them in clear detail. And the next step is monitoring and maintenance. Once we have the models and they are deployed in real time, a lot of people think that they are done with machine learning, but here comes the tricky part. We need to also monitor and also maintain the models, because there can be issues like data drift and concept drift, which can have an impact on the model predictions. Hence, always we need to check how the model is performing even after it is deployed, so that if there is any change in the data, the model should be able to predict even for those classes or for those output variables. And finally, we need to iterate and improve the model by looking at experimenting with other models which are recent research, which are present in the latest research papers. And then we have to explore and experiment with those models and see how much of an improvement has this model had when it comes to interpretability or scalability or improvement in the performance. So these are all the list of steps that we must follow in order to complete a machine learning project. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please subscribe and like if you like these kind of videos, and I'm going to upload a lot of other videos in the future so that we can all understand and build a stronger machine learning community. Thank you.